If you are interlocking for maintenance, this class is for you.
I took the class just to learn to do my own hair when need be.
I wanted to empower you to help you to keep and protect your crown,
which gave me confidence in my lock journey.
It's really cool that I can at least attempt to do it and maybe learn some more information. Sometimes I like to take pictures on Instagram, and when I notice that my hair is looking a little rough around the edges, I know that I can do it myself now and I don't have to get somebody else to do it for me.
So she's just very knowledgeable in that and made me feel comfortable about where I was in each stage and each phase of my lock journey.
And it was so much fun to learn how to do my own locks, just in case I need to retighten them anytime I can.
Hey love, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, because on this channel I talk about all things locks, beauty, and wellness. So you don't want to miss out, do you? I know you don't. But anywho, y'all, today, let's get straight into it. We are talking about why you have holes in your locks. And I am only going to share 3 reasons why you may see holes in your locks. There are other reasons, but for sake of time and everything else, we are only going to discuss the 3 main reasons why you may see holes in your lock. So, reason number 1, the first reason why you may see holes in your lock is improper locking technique. Yes, so if you interlock for maintenance and you go in the same direction, you basically, and I'm going to show an example, but you go in the same loop, in the same direction more than once, you are creating a hole in the lock. And honestly, depending on your texture, doing it one time is not detrimental. But doing it several times will create holes in your locks. And if you are, this typically only applies to people who are interlocking for maintenance. If you are palm rolling, you don't have to worry about going in the same, looping in the same direction. So if you're palm roll, it does not apply to you, but we'll talk about some other stuff for palm rolls. But if you're interlocking, going in the same direction over and over again will create holes in your locks. Also, another thing, and another reason why you will see holes in your lock for improper locking technique is if you're interlocking, the tension that is used, and I'm going to show an example of that as well. So if not enough tension is used in the lock, over time, the lack of tension can eventually, every time you shampoo your hair or manipulate your hair, when you're interlocking, that the locking technique tends to shift, right? It's Dan, so just kidding. But it tends to shift and it wiggles. So if it's not enough tension and you leave a slight hole in between the last loop and the current loop, and you wash your hair, shampoo it, and then it slides a little bit and slides and slides and slides to the left, slides to the right. But anywho, over time, you create that hole in your lock with not using the proper tension, whether you're doing it yourself or someone else is doing it for you. If you don't use the proper tension, you may end up creating holes in your lock over time. You won't see it day 1, you won't see it, the first and second retightening or whatever, but eventually you will see it. And before you know it, you're like, what's this hole in my lock? So that's the first reason, which is the improper locking technique. The second reason why you may see holes in your locks is neglecting slippage at the mid shaft of the lock, anywhere in the mid shaft of the lock. Okay, because slippage, and this is something else I will talk about, but slippage happens at the root, at the ends, and at the mid shaft, the middle of the lock, okay? So when I talk about the shaft of the hair, I'm talking about the middle of the lock, the middle of the hair. So if you have slippage in the middle or the shaft of your lock, and it goes unmanaged, it gets neglected, eventually over time, that it's just going to remain a hole in your lock. And as most of you may know, holes in your lock leads to breakage over time. So if you have slippage in between your lock and it's not managed over time, it's being neglected, that slippage, creates holes in the lock. Okay. Third reason why you may see holes in your locks is improper maintenance when you've gone too long without retightening your locks. And this could easily be for palm roll locks too. So, and I'm going to show an example because you're probably like, what the heck is she talking about? When you go too long without a retightening, right? Your hair, okay, imagine, this is the best way I can help you visualize this. So when you get box braids or any type of braids, right? And then after a month or 2 or 3, however long you keep the braids in your hair, when you go in, before you even take out your braids, you see the new growth, right? And then from the new growth, you see that little bunching, matted hair, your hair, matted area, right? And then you see the lock. I mean the weave. Once you take the weave out, right? That matted part that's above the new growth, but below the hair that was in the braid. So that matted part, the hair mats, and it has buildup from scalp buildup or product buildup. So the buildup and the matted hair creates this lump, right? So think of that, and now let's translate it to locks. When you have locks and you go a long time without retightening, whether you're interlock or palm roll, you go a long time without it being maintained. And especially if you're not shampooing your hair often, this happens more with people who don't shampoo often when they go a long time without retightening or palm rolling their hair or whatever it is. You have the same thing that occurs that from that example. You have the matted part because loose hair just hanging out together eventually is going to want to mat together, okay? So you have the mat, and then if you're not shampooing often on top of that, you have the come back to me words, come back. You have the scalp buildup from these skin cells shedding off your scalp, right? And then you have the product buildup. So in the natural oil sebum buildup, you have that if you're not shampooing often, right? So then you shampoo your hair, but all of that stuff isn't out, or even if all of it is out, you still have that matted area at the bottom, above the new growth. This is for your locks, above the new growth and right below where it's actually locked, right? So you have this little ball. That's what I call it. I don't know the best term for it. If you're a loctician and you're watching this and you know what I'm talking about, please let me know. What do you refer to that as? So you have this ball at the end, right? And then you go to palm roll. If you're palm rolling, you go to palm roll. If the person isn't palm rolling properly, you have that sleek, neat palm roll from the root, and then you have this ball. If it's not, taken care of, then you have this little ball. It just looks bunch. It looks bunch. It's a little thicker. And then if it goes unhandled, then you're gonna have over time. When you keep washing it, if it has debris, scalp buildup, product buildup, once those buildup moves, you have loose hair. Loose hair means holes in the lock. So that's one way you can have holes in the lock for the palm roll. And then if you interlock, if that portion, that ball portion isn't taken care of, and you just interlock, when you take the tool, whatever tool you use to interlock, you raise your tool. It stops at the ball. So you have the lock part, you have the ball, and the tool can only go so far because that part is already matted. If that part is matted, so the tool goes up, and if it's not taken care of, and you tighten all the way down, so you have the new retightening part, and then that little ball, and then your lock. Over time, it softens because for some, especially if you have a looser curl pattern too, over time it softens and create that hole in your lock. So overall, those are three main reasons why you may experience holes in your lock over time. And those, some of these examples that I've given You don't see it until like later. And you're like, what? Why is this part weak? Why is this lock weak? Holes in your lock creates weak points. Weak points end up being broken hair. It breaks off. So yeah. And I'm going to, you know, of course, insert examples and show you what I'm talking about. But anywho, I hope you have enjoyed this content. If you have any questions, if you're experiencing this, let me know. Do you currently have holes in your locks? How are you managing those? I can do another video on how to repair and do all those other stuff. But for now, I just wanted to let you know why you may have holes in your lock and what can cause it. It could be other things, but overall, those are the 3 reasons. Let me know in a comment if you've experienced this, and if you're a loctician, do you see this often? So thank you guys for watching, and thank you so much for your time. I will see you next time. Bye.